Okay. Oh, it just says meeting is now streaming live on YouTube. Up
Yep,
on
yep.
my phone.
Yep. So if we could, Mary, if you maybe want to just announce that, or I can recommend it, but that if anybody watching on YouTube needs the call-in information. Mary, if you maybe want to just announce that, or I can recommend it, but that if anybody watching on YouTube, should they email Jim and give Jim's email address if anybody needs it?
Okay. Anybody that's watching this meeting live on YouTube now, could you please email James Soper, and Jim, could you say your email, please? That's watching this meeting live on YouTube now. Could you please email James Soper, and Jim, could you say your email, please? That's watching this
I
meeting
could,
live
but
on
I think
YouTube
we're gonna
now.
get reverberation. It's
We should work.
James
James Soper, and Jim, could you say your
dot
email, please?
Soper at CI dot Everett MA dot US.
And that's also on the agenda if anyone needs Jim's address, but they can still contact him to get the new call-in information if anybody needs it.
Okay, thank you, Rob. Is everybody here?
Wait, I'm looking for members of 302 Broadway. Is Attorney Rossi still on? Yep, I see him.
Is John Fraser on?
Yes, I am.
Oh, great, there you are. Good, I didn't see your name. Perfect.
I'm right here.
I want to make sure you got in.
Yep.
And Mike D'Antone, do I see you? Yes, okay. Roger, I see. Paul, okay. Good.
I think the only other name I don't see is Eric Kenworthy. That was 302.
I believe you're right, Mr. D'Antone.
The gentleman from 12 Vestey Street cannot make it, he said.
He can't get in, or he's just not coming back?
He's with his children. He says it's too late. He can't get back
Okay.
on.
Okay.
So who are we missing? You said one of the applicants?
302, I think it was.
302 Broadway. I'm gonna reach out to an email address I have for them. And they are, we're not on them right now, I don't think. We don't have them open as a hearing right now.
I'll call Eric too.
Please, yeah, anyone who can get a hold of them, please do.
Mike McLaughlin, I'm calling Eric Kenworthy right now also.
Thank you.
We got Roberta here.
Eric,
Yep, Roberta's
can
here.
you get on the meeting?
Roberta. All right.
Next to you, don't you see her?
We got a new number.
She's right on your right.
Come, look what I got. Look what I got for you.
Can we continue with what we were working on, the first piece?
Look what I got. No worries, just want to make sure. Okay. Okay, let me know if there's an issue, okay? Eric's trying to get on right now. I gave him, he has a new meeting number.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman, can we continue? It looks like all the players are here for the piece we were working on.
I believe we could do that. Robin, there's no problem with us moving forward right now while we wait for the different petitions to log in, right?
I mean, why don't we give it a second, just because we know there's somebody that's trying to get in, and then we can go move forward. It's just
Okay.
that one petitioner, right, Eric?
Yep.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah.
Is that Eric?
Here we go.
Okay, so everyone's in now?
Yes.
Are we set, folks, or no?
I believe so. Everybody's in, right?
Oh,
I'm in.
I'm in.
the last gentleman that needed the information got in?
Yes.
Okay.
Eric Kenworthy's here.
All right, then
Okay.
we can go.
And let's continue. So we left off, I believe we were just finishing the petitioner's opportunity to respond to questions from the board. And I believe that that's where we're at now, finishing up. So Mr. Attorney O'Neill, are you all set? I think you just finished up as it locked out.
I'm not sure where I cut out, but really the
Mr.
last.
McLaughlin had just asked you a question about the parking, I think. But it was about the driveway and someone had asked you about structuring it a little higher and you had answered, why not?
Yeah, I think we've addressed that's not a viable option for this project. And really what we would be gaining by doing that is so de minimis in terms of traffic flow onto Estes. You know, we're not producing a lot of traffic as is, so a lower number is insignificant in terms of having a second means. I guess in closing, what I would say is our neighbors have been a little spoiled by the fact that there has not been a successful, thriving business here, a big traffic generating business. In fact, there's been no business for quite a while. And they're you know, I'm not minimizing their concerns, but something is going to go there. We've got a very modestly sized proposed dwelling building in terms of what we've seen coming into the city on very small lots. The fact that this is a right-sized project makes this relief that we're seeking, and again, to refocus the board on the 3 areas of relief that we're seeking. Front yard, no change from what it is now. There is no front yard on that corner, no change. There is no corner setback at that property. And a deficit of 9 parking spots, which is far fewer than have been allowed in larger and similarly sized projects in the city. So I would ask the board to, in their wisdom, recognize that perhaps what the neighbors are fearful of would be best served by this project rather than the incredibly higher traffic count that would come from a different use. And sometimes we've got to be careful with what we wish for. And I would ask that the board vote favorably on our requested articles of relief.
And I'd like to add something as well. Maybe there's something we can do to look into the people cutting through that street. I mean, I've seen in other neighborhoods, not necessarily Everett, but resident-only street or something along these lines to prevent, you know, people just cutting through and using it as a highway.
Mr. O'Neill, I have one more question before we make a motion. You did have a meeting, a neighborhood meeting. Were all these concerns brought up in that meeting and were any of them rectified?
You know, some of the things that were, it was the frustration of a citywide traffic problem that we've become, as Councilor McLaughlin said, a cut through for other users. And again, these concerns were raised when the property was vacant. So the concerns of what our project is bringing to the site, you know, certain things we were addressed in regard to the neighborhood. The gentleman, I believe, who couldn't come back to the meeting, who's most abutting right behind the fence, he was worried about the cars getting too close to that fence. So we agreed to put a berm within the parking area so that there'd be some natural spacing off of the fence. Again, currently there isn't any. Cars can pull right up to the wall. We addressed his concern and moved the berm up so that there's some separation there.
We also decided to put, you know, do something with the fence that's currently there to make it more private for him. so that, you know, there wouldn't be any issues, or it's just an improvement to the current fence that's there.
Yeah, the screening was, we agreed to improve it. And it was, you know, many of the people who came to that meeting, you've heard from tonight, and they all said, it looks like a good building. We just don't, you know, we're just sick of SD Street being a cut through. And the 9 residents of this building are not going to solve or exacerbate the citywide problem that these neighbors are concerned about. The other thing, Mr. D'Antoni, there was concern about the dumpster that came up as well, and we've been responsive to that. Solving the citywide traffic problem is not something that we can be charged with.
Sharif,
Madam Chairman, oh, okay, I'm sorry, go
I
ahead.
just have one question to ask you. I like your idea about the neighborhood working together regarding the street as a cut through.
Yeah.
Maybe this could be the beginning of something like the neighbors are here now. You're here, you own that property, Mr. McLaughlin's here. Maybe that's a conversation that can be had. Because it does sound like that street, when under normal circumstances, is becoming a dangerous cut through for everybody involved, including you and your probable tenants if you were to get past, if you were to receive the appeal. So maybe that's a conversation that's separate from this, that has nothing to do with us, that needs to be resolved in the neighborhood. And maybe
I agree with you.
You know, they could reach out to him to start and figure out where to go and what to do.
Mary, I agree with you too. I don't know if you've gone through Medford lately, but most of their side streets off of main streets say residents access only between certain hours.
They
So
do.
maybe that's something for Councilor McLaughlin to put forth with the city council and get with the neighbors and maybe put a sign down there saying residents only for those specific hours that there's heavy traffic. It's usually
I'll be happy to be
rush
with
hour.
Because that's a neighborhood issue. It's not really your building issue, but I think it's serious enough to be addressed.
Yeah, it's an enforcement issue with, coordinating with the traffic commission and the police, I would assume.
I agree, and I can happily be a part of that when time comes, because, you know, I am one of the owners there, so it does make it's a significant impact to me as well.
Madam Chairwoman, Councilor Michael McLaughlin, I am more than happy to lead the way on this effort and try to work with our city. The bigger problem is we need to get the cars to stop coming off of Route 1 and to stay up over the Tobin Bridge and stop using Everett as a cut through. That's a bigger issue that needs to be handled. But I'm happy to work with the abutters of this property and the neighbors to put that forward.
You know, thinking about this a little more, there's a lot of construction going on Route 1 right now, where 3 lanes on each side is brought down to 2 or even 1 lane in some cases. And so that's maybe part of the issue, where people are trying to avoid the construction and cutting through because it saves them time.
They are at the Chelsea curve.
That's been a problem for years, though, guys. Like he said, Mr. O'Neill was saying that the place has been vacant for 2 years. There's still, you know, the cut throughs never stop. You know, now you're putting in 9 units, and I think it'll decrease the traffic. Like he says, you put a retail or something in there, you're talking 500 cars a day versus someone leaving their house twice a day, you know? So.
Okay, well, thank you for your effort, Shireen. I appreciate it. And everybody else, Mr. Thistle, everybody, so.
Madam Chairman, I'm here to make a motion, favorable action with our residential parking sticker caveat that we put in most pieces.
Before we make the motion, I just want to go ahead and have you guys close the public portion. I think we had told one person they could speak at the end, so I just want to make sure everyone's all set. Sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt.
Mary, that's up to you.
I believe they got to speak, but was there a
Okay,
last word by anybody that I missed?
I couldn't remember in between.
Yep.
I just wanted to make sure.
They both got
Then
it.
you. Okay,
Yeah,
that,
I think I
my
had
mistake.
public portion. So
Okay,
the public
just
portion of the
checking.
meeting is officially closed. Mr. D'Antoni, if you want to continue.
Sorry to
Okay, so
interrupt.
I make a motion for favorable action with our residential, no residential parking stickers at that location. And that's it.
Written in the name.
Oh, I do have one other thing. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I would like a condition that they put some sort of a sidewalk alarm when the cars come in and out, some notification that a car is coming out. Is that possible?
I can do that I've seen, at least where I live in Cambridge, there's a lot, I live in a very trafficky area with a lot of people. I live in a 200-unit building. I don't mind doing that, but whenever I've seen that happen, people complain about the noise and the light that's coming off the flashing. I will work with my best way possible with my engineers to see what we can do in there that makes everybody happy without disturbing residents at the same time.
I would appreciate that. And also, when you do lease the property, we want the wording in the lease that states there will be no residential parking stickers allowed at that address. And it does work. It goes right to our parking clerk, and they do exclude that from further residential stickers.
Agreed.
So that would be part of the condition.
Okay, so we have a motion.
Somebody want to second me?
Roger Dissel will second that motion.
So we have a motion for favorable action by Mr. D'Antone, and it includes the no residential parking sticker that must be written in the lease for the duration that the building exists there, no matter who the owner is, and it's been seconded by Roger Dissel. So can the clerk call the roll, please?
There were other conditions, Mary. There was the
I'm sorry.
lease, the wording in the lease,
Yep.
and the some sort of a warning.
Oh, yes,
signal.
the audio warning signal for entering.
Something. He'll work it out with the neighbors, but something.
Yes.
Madam
Okay.
Chairman, can I say one thing, please?
Yep.
Can they put any way they can put the trash barrels on Broadway instead of Esty Street? Can we make that a condition also?
If I'm legally able to, I will.
Thank you.
Okay, so Mike,
Yeah,
why
we
don't you
can't really-
restate your motion, clean it up so it's cleaned up.
Okay, so I make a motion for favorable action with the no residential parking stickers at that address. That is in the lease for every tenant, that they understand it, that they're not gonna be able to park any other cars. And some sort of a warning warning system that he can work out with the neighbors. Those are my three conditions.
Okay, do we have anyone to second it?
Roger Dissel will second that motion.
All right, we have a motion for favorable action. It's been seconded by Roger Dissel. Could the clerk call the roll, please?
John Fraser,
Yes.
Paul Colometta,
No.
Roger Dissel,
Yes,
Michael D'Antone,
No,
Mary Gerasi.
Yes. Okay, so your petition has been denied and you have 20 days.
Mary,
Yep,
before you move on, I think it would be helpful for writing the decision to put on the record the reasons for the no votes. For example, to the extent that the people that voted no feel like relief can't be granted without nullifying from the intent of the ordinance, without substantial detriment. It sounded to me like there were concerns about the lack of parking in that variance, but if anybody wants to put some findings on the record, this would be the time to do it.
my reasoning is, it's too dense. I would probably very much approve something on a smaller scale, a couple of units less, whatever. And the in and out on SD Street, I live down this area and I can see a problem. So that's my reasoning.
Okay.
I'm on the same page as Mike. The areas for the project that they want to do, it's just not big enough.
okay, so Robin, how would I say that? What would I include in that?
Well, it just sounds to me, and I can always help Roberta with writing the decision if she needs, but it sounded to me like the board was saying that that as proposed, the project's too dense, there are too many units. The access to the parking
Okay. So
is a problem, and that the lot itself is too small, and so they feel like granting the requested relief will nullify or substantially derogate from the intent of the ordinance. And it sounded to me like from the conversation that nine parking space variance would create problems.
Don't forget,
To the
our
public way.
ordinance says 2 spaces per unit, so if we just say no to the parking, that ends it there.
Yes, so that you find that the parking would take away from the ordinance.
All right.
And
so-
again, I can help Roberta with the draft decision if you need.
Okay, your petition has been denied. You have the right to appeal it, and it's been denied due to the parking variance and the density of the area where it was going to be built.
Thank you all for your attention. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to take the next petition off the table. Petition number 2467, 1517 Argyle Street.
I'll second that motion. Paul Colometta.
There's been a motion to take petition number 2467, 1517 Argyle Street off the table at this time. And if the attorneys or the representatives here?
Yes, I'm present.
Okay, who is yes?
Anthony Rossi.
Oh, okay, sorry, Anthony.
Sorry.
See you there. I'm a little
That's all right.
populated for a minute here. I apologize. Okay, so we're taking it off the table from old business. I am not going to reread the entire petition again, but I will read the denial and the reasons why, so people understand where we're picking up from where we left off, okay?
Yep.
And I believe, so it's petition number 2467, Constantino Panulo, Anna D. TRS variance regarding 1517 Argyle Street, Everett, Mass. Reason for denial, the applicant seeks a building permit to convert a structure from a two-family dwelling into a three-family dwelling located within a dwelling district on the above 3,734 square foot lot. Relief required in the form of a variance. Okay. So here we are, let's see. Just grab that. Okay, Mr. Rossi, I believe we left off, we extended the public hearing for 2 weeks.
Yes.
And then we chose to table it. So at this time, yeah, is there anybody here to speak regarding from the public? Do you want to have a minute just to review, Anthony, Mr. Attorney Rossi? Or
No, I'm good. I mean, I don't know if Council McLaughlin is still on, but he spoke in favor of it, and so did Councilman DePiero. I wasn't sure if they can make it, but when I was talking to him earlier, he said he would reiterate it if he got off, but that's it.
Madam Chairwoman, Michael McLaughlin, 9 Baldwin Place, Everett City Councilor. Just to reiterate what I stated 2 weeks ago, I'm in favor of the development. I think it gives an opportunity to clean up a past history and make a wrong or right on this site. I know that Mr. Panulo is looking forward to working with the neighbors and the abutters to be a good neighbor and to do the right thing. And I also know that, as Mr. Rossi said previously, they're going to hot top the back lot. They're going to stripe it. Unfortunately, because of COVID-19, they've not been able to do so. Today, those restrictions have been lifted. So I know that Mr. Rossi and Mr. Panulo are going to work together to ensure that construction happens in the very near future. I also know that Mr. Rossi is working on conforming the two-family house and making that right. So they are doing everything they can to be good neighbors and to be able to right the past and move forward to work with the neighbors. I've been in contact with some of them, and they've been pleased by the work that was already done there. The site has already been cleaned up significantly since these meetings the last few weeks have began. So they're already showing a good faith, and I know that Mr. Panulo is going to continue to show a good faith to the abutters, and I know that I will personally stay on top of that. Not that I think I'm going to need to, but I will personally stay on top of that if need be to ensure that that is done. And I think Mr. Rossi would probably give the same commitment on that. But I know Mr. Panulo is willing to do the right thing by the neighborhood and to the neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so is there any public forum? Do we know, is anybody calling in? Is anybody here to speak on the public side? Anyone?
Madam Chairwoman, this is Jim. So I don't know of anybody, but I would make sure you loud and clear ask anybody. Comment. Thanks.
No, I will. One last call, public comment, public forum. Has anybody called in? Anybody here to speak in the positive or the negative for this particular petition? And one last time, call for public hearing. Before I close it, anyone here to speak in favor or not in favor of this petition? All right, I believe there are no call-ins, so I'm going to close the public public forum at this time, and I'm going to allow Mr. Rossi to add in anything else that he may want.
Yes, thank you, Mary. What I wanted to state is a couple things. On the previous hearings, we did have some, I submitted some letters from the abutters and the abutting two abutters directly across the street in support of this application. And as Mr. McLaughlin did, he spoke to many of the neighbors. I know Mike asked me on I think it was 2 hearings past, to try to talk to the neighbors, and we did that. Also, I actually met with Mr. Pernulo on multiple occasions there to clean up the site, and we have. In fact, Mike, on the last meeting, you wanted me to try to see if we could get it paved. Literally the next day, we actually signed the paving contract agreement with EJ Paving to pave the site and stripe it. And when we go submit the application, we didn't realize about COVID-19 that the city shut down. So Jimmy, Mr. Soper sent me the actual application, because you got to do it a certain way with pervious pavers or impervious area in the back area. So we're actually going to do that immediately now that those conditions being removed. But we already contracted with a company, and I would state that if this board was inclined to support this today, we would, I would ask that a condition be made that we pave and stripe the whole entire lot. And we actually contracted to stripe both sides. So there'll be parking designated for everything, and it'll be a clean site. So we were going to do that prior to this meeting, but because of COVID, we couldn't get the application in. So I would have tried to get it done right away. We actually had them planned within a week to pave the site.
Okay. All right. Mr. Rossi, at this time, I do have, if you were to be approved tonight, it would have to be under this. I'm going to read you in a condition. I believe it. I'm not sure if I read it in the last time, but I want to make sure that we read it clearly, and it will also be forwarded to you in an email later on.
Yep.
The wording, but it is: the parking requirements of this decision shall bind both 1517 Argyle Street and 11 Argyle Street. It is the board's understanding that those 2 properties are held in common ownership by the applicants, the trustees of the 11 Argyle Street Nominee Trust, an easement preserving in perpetuity the parking and access thereto on 11 Argyle Street for the benefit of 1517 Argyle Street shall be recorded at the Middlesex South District Registry of Deeds, along with any deed or other document separating ownership of the 2 properties. To the extent the 2 properties are not now held in common ownership, said easement shall be recorded at said registry with this decision.
Yes, the only thing I want to add, Mary, is that I never did a title search on this. So however, the entities that are owned, that language would incorporate whatever entities will be subject to them agreeing to record that easement. So that I don't have objection to the easement language, that, for that right of way to cross over. I just don't know how if it's just in a trust or in husband and wife, but I know it's the same people essentially. I just don't know how they're currently holding it, but whatever needs to be done, I'll make sure that the abutting parcel will have that easement agreement that runs with the land on both properties.
Robin, is that would be acceptable?
I think it's fine, because as it's written, it just says that basically, to the extent it's in common ownership, it's going to get put on when they're separated. And if it's not in common ownership, it'll get put on now. So I think that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, so just so you know, that condition is part of, if it were to be approved, would be in there. Okay,
I
we will
understand.
forward this to you just so you have it.
Thanks, Mary. Yes.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
I'm all set.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion for favorable action with, I guess, the easement condition of the wording I think you can supply to Roberta.
Yep.
And the other condition will be the completion of the driveway hot topping and striping.
Okay, we have a motion for favorable action. Anybody going to second?
Roger Thistle will second that motion.
So we have a motion favorable action. It's been seconded by Roger Thistle. Can the clerk please call the roll?
John Fraser,
Yes.
Paul Colometta,
No.
Roger Thistle,
Yes,
Michael Jane Tone,
Yes.
and Mary Gerasi.
Yes. Your petition has been approved and you have 20 days from, let's see. It's
Mary,
changed.
I'll just suggest that, Attorney Rossi can take a look at the appeal periods and
Yeah.
advise the client on
Look
those.
at the appeal
We'll
period.
get it filed, but
How about this? Look
give-
at the COVID-19 appeal period.
I'm well aware of it. That's
Are
fine.
you all
there you
with
go.
it?
So
Yeah.
there you
That
go.
would be
The
much
decision will
easier.
get filed.
Thank you,
Yes.
Robert. And it will get filed and so forth and so on, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, good luck. Thank you.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion. We take item number 2469, 2830 Carlson Street on the old business off the table.
Okay, Mr. Colometta,
Madam Chairperson, I'd like to excuse myself from petition 2469 due to conflict of interest.
okay, Mr. Colometta, I will keep your phone next to you. I will text you when this portion of the meeting is over because we have one more petition afterwards I need you to log back in for.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Mary, explanation here to the petitioner that it has to be unanimous vote.
Yes, so just as a reminder, so the representatives and the petitioner, is everybody here? Mr. Delory?
Yeah, Attorney Paul Delory representing the petitioner, and actually have the petitioner is remote at the site with Attorney Andy Delory, because we understand there's also one of the abutters who's going to join the meeting and speak on Zoom concerning this, so.
Okay, great. So we just want to make sure that everybody understands and understands that it's going to take a unanimous vote of 4 today because we only have 4 members voting due to the recusal of Paul Colometta.
It's understood.
Understood.
Okay, so at this time, what I'm going to do, I believe we already read the petition and went through a good portion of it, and we had left with the public hearing. So I'm going to read the denial just to refresh everybody's memory, and then we'll move from there, okay? So this is petition 2469, Mr. Eduardo Matashino, and it's a variance regarding 2830 Carlson Street, Everett, Mass. 02149. The reason for denial, the applicant proposed 2 structures on a single lot and therefore must seek relief in the form of a variance. The current and proposed floor plans propose a floor to area ratio FAR of 1.17, exceeding the maximum requirement of 0.5. The proposed front yard is only 8 feet 2 inches plus or minus. And that's it. Okay.
Madam Chairwoman, this is Attorney Delory. Could I ask the host to enable us to share pictures with the members of the board as we go through this presentation?
Sure. If that's possible, yes.
I think
So
Jim.
that's been, as the host, Mr. Soper here as the host, you are open to share documents. You should give that a try.
Okay, let me try it. That says, it still says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Second. Okay. Paul, can you give that a try now?
Okay, I think it's good.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Well, it's. Yeah, all right. Madam Chairwoman, members of the board, thank you for your time and your patience tonight. I know it's late. I'll try and run through this as quickly as possible. I represent Eduardo Matashino, who lives at 28 Carlson Street with his wife and children. That's a 2-family residence. He's before you tonight because he would like to propose to build another 2-family on the lot in which his first house is, in which his existing house is located. In order to do that, he needs to have the relief which the chairwoman just read, because there's going to be 2 houses on a single lot. And the FAR obviously would be over the 0.5 with the addition of the second house. And he's about a little bit over a foot into what should be the front yard setback. I think that what would be helpful here is on the presentation to just look at the history. And in doing that, I'd like to show you the first slide, if I can. Yeah. This lot was originally developed out of a 1924 plan. There's 54 lots. If you look at the slide that I have up on the screen and you look at the lower left-hand side, lots 1, 2, 3, and 4, that's what the existing lot consists of. It's about 5,813 square feet. Now, this lot this plan was developed in 1924, so this was predated our zoning ordinance by 2 years. So a person at that point could have built a house on even one of these little small lots with only 20 feet of frontage. There was no zoning regulation. So what's happened is over time, what most of the people did in this area is they combined 2 of the lots and built a 2-family house on approximately 25 or 2,600 square feet. If you just consider this plan, let me just show you the next one if I can. Here's a picture of Google. Here's a Google picture. You'll see exactly how those houses were built into the plan. And if you look at the red arrow, that's 28 Carlson Street. And just beyond that red arrow is the space where he proposes to put another 2-family. You can see that these houses were all built on 25 or 2,600 square feet, combining 2 lots. The prior owner of this property decided to buy 2 more lots. And on that spare lot, or that vacant lot beside the existing house, he built a garage, which I'll talk about in just a second. So the petitioner proposes and requests the ability to build a 2-family house in that space. And as I said, these lots are all individually 1,390 square feet. Now, what's happened is over time, because the zoning and the minimum requirements of zoning changed over time, and because these lots are in common ownership, they merged. And because they've merged, it creates a hardship, because now he can't do, without some zoning relief, he can't do what the other people on the street have done. And again, if you look up and down Carlson Street, you'll see in all the area, actually, it's all very similar construction to what was there. Now, let me just show, if I could, on the next plan. Hold on 1 second. This one here. This is the existing lot. If you can everybody see that? I just want to make sure that everybody is seeing these pictures.
Yes.
This is the existing lot.
We can see it, Dad. You're good.
Okay, this is the existing 2-family, which is on the left-hand side. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see that's the extra lot. There's a wood frame garage that's not in great condition right now, and kind of an old masonry retaining wall, which is not in great shape either. And of course, part of this proposal will be there'll be a fence erected there, which I'll speak to in just another minute. That garage would come down and the 2-family house would go there. So he proposes this second building. And again, the FAR on these existing 2 families, if you really did the math, you've got a 2,600 square foot lot with a 2-family house. Under present FAR, they'd all be over 0.5. I could guarantee that. So we just want to take a look at this if we can, and you'll see on this particular lot where this house will go. Let me go to the next slide if I can. What was the next one? Hold on 1 second. Yeah, no, one more. I have somebody helping me here. I'm sorry. No.
You on mute?
No. Let me see this one here. Oh, that's the rendering. I need that 4th one.
Let's see, hold on. There. Okay, 4th, you said?
Yeah, this one right here. Yeah, okay, I'm sorry for the delay. So this is the proposed plan, or the site plan of what the proposed lot will look like. So again, if you look on the left, you see that's the existing lot. If you look on the right, you'll see this is what the proposed house is. A couple of things you should note is that the house is a relatively very small house. It's only 22 feet high. And a lot of effort has been made to lessen the impact of any abutters, particularly the abutter to the rear. So what's happened is it has compliant parking. You'll notice there's 4 parking spaces behind, so it does comply with parking. And obviously, again, as we said, the obvious variance is the second lot, the second house on this lot has compliant parking. And because they wanted to bring the house forward so that they could have the 3 parking spaces, they do encroach on the 10-foot setback requirement by about 1 foot 8 inches. What you should note is that every house on the street is in line with this house. They're all at the same, keeping in mind that most of them were built prior to zoning regulations. So this has been the house. It's 27 feet away from the rear property line. And, you know, one of the difficult things, given the COVID situation now, is we always like to try to have a community meeting or at least reach out to the abutters. And, you know, it's been really impossible to do that. We do have an abutter who will speak to this matter tonight. But it's difficult to get the assessment, but we think that it's a really good looking house and it will add to the neighborhood. The garage is in very tough shape, and there's a proposal that they will create a new fence and landscaping for the abutter to the rear. And she would really be the most significantly impacted abutter. And I think you'll see when we talk at one of the public hearing that she's in favor of this. So you'll see here, it's, as I say, it's a 2-bedroom house on 2 floors. And I'll just go to the rendering and I'll show this to you if I can. Bear with me a second. This is the, not a great picture, but this is the house. You can try to see if I can change the orientation of this picture somehow. Let me go back to this. This should be a little bit of a better picture here.
Dad, you got to go to view on the top. You got to go to view on the menu bar on the top. See it? Keep going up.
Yeah.
Go to view, and then go to rotate view.
Got it.
Clockwise.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. This is usually what goes on behind the scenes. Clockwise. I just missed it. There you go.
There we go.
Oh,
Okay.
there you go.
All right. So in other words, these are the different views of the house. The one on the upper right, it shows you the front door, the 2 doors, and this is all hardy plank. They made a flat roof on the house simply because they wanted to lessen the impact. It's actually lower than most of the houses on the street. And, you know, again, that's been all discussed with the abutters on this property. I would say that this doesn't derogate from the zoning because realistically, this is nothing more than a use that has been used up and down this street plus Coolidge. All 2 families. This is a smaller 2-family than most. And again, it's built on a 2,600 square foot lot, which is fairly consistent or is consistent with the area. I would also point out that we have a petition which we submitted to Mr. Sopa today. People, as I say, have been very reluctant. We had set up a Zoom on this remote location and invited people that they could come on if they wanted and speak in favor or against. We would make the platform available to them, and that's where Andrew is right now, my son, with the owner. But we also are submitting with this a petition signed by, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22 residents, some on the street, some not on the street, that are in favor of this petition. So for all of these reasons, I'd request the board in its discretion to allow this construction, and I'd be happy to answer any questions after the public hearing.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to continue with the public portion of the hearing and open it up again. And any petitioner, Mr. Delory, could you take this screen down so we can see everybody?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay.
So we could have the anyone from the public. I'd like to, at this time, we could ask for anyone here who's in the public to speak in favor or not in favor. Could you please state your first, last name and address clearly for the clerk, please, to record?
Hi, my name is Janet Colometer, and I live at 33 Coolidge Street, Everett, Massachusetts.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
And I am in favor of the property being built on Carlson Street.
Okay.
I wish him all my best.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Could I point out, Madam Chairwoman, Ms. Colometta lives directly behind the proposed construction. So in other words, her house and the proposed house back to back.
I'm looking, Madam Chair, if you look at, I can't see it. I was doing this when it was light out originally, but that's her house. It's directly behind me over here. So she is the immediate abutter to the rear, for the record.
Okay, where those lights are?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay. At this time, any other people wanted to speak in favor or oppose this petition from the public?
They probably should ask you some questions.
And one other last call before I read in the petitions to document them. Anybody else want to speak? Andrew, did you have something? No, you're all set.
I apologize, but I am here when the public hearing is over. I am here with my client who will also.
Okay.
Any questions for the board?
Okay. So at this
Hey, can I speak in favor of this project? My name is Hormat Abdul Raouf, and I'm for 131 Cottage Street. And I want to speak in favor of this project. Should be a beautiful project for the city of Everett. I've saw the renderings, it looks great, and I hope that this project gets approved, and I hope it goes through. Look forward to it.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else? Is there anyone else out there calling in or anything that wants to speak on behalf of this petition? In favor or opposed? Okay, at this time, I'm just going to read in. There are two petitions that were emailed to me just to document them. And first one states, we, the undersigned residents, hereby wish to be recorded in favor of the zoning relief being sought by Eduardo Montesino regarding 28 Carlson Street to construct a second two-family dwelling on the existing property. And on this particular one, there are 9 signatures, and they're all from that area. And the second petition again states, we, the undersigned residents, hereby wish to be recorded in favor of the zoning relief being sought by Eduardo Montesino at 28 Carlson Street to construct a second two-family dwelling on the lot. And there are 1, 2, 3, 13 different signatures on this petition as well. And these were all in favor. Okay, just for the record.
Madam Chairwoman?
Mr. McLaughlin?
I'm very sorry. I'm actually on another Zoom call right now. I apologize. So I have 2 meetings going at the moment. I apologize. I just wanted to quickly come on and say that I'm in support of this petition, but I do have to get to this other meeting. I apologize.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. McLaughlin. Okay, so at this time, is there any other public comment? Any other public commentary? Mr. Delory, do you have anything to add?
No, I thank you. I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Okay, so I'd like you to open up to questions from the board at this time.
I have a question, Mr. Zoy. Roger Thistle here. I'm looking at the old plan. I know the property's been updated and now it's a flat roof, but it's showing a new curb cut and existing driveway curb cut. So is there going to be like an entrance and then an exit for the property, or?
I'm going to have the developer answer that question with my son, Roger, if you don't mind.
Okay, thank you,
Want
sir.
to walk out in the street and show them? Hold on, this is the first time we've ever been on site. I'm just gonna walk out in the street and I can show you the curb cuts. I think it'll be a little easier for everybody to understand. So we're looking at the property right now. Can we see it all right? So if you look over here, this is where the existing garage is. This is an existing curb cut. The new proposed curb cut is going to be right here where there's a big tree. So what they're going to do is actually, this curb cut's going to get filled in and they're just going to replace it with a curb cut over here. So there's going to be no street parking loss as a result.
Okay.
So you're just replacing and changing the location.
We're literally just moving it
Moving it
from the
over.
corner of the lot to the middle. It'll drive right down the middle between the two properties, and this curb cut will be replaced. So there'll be no loss of the street parking. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. God, you can't see anything.
Mr. Delory, I have a question.
Yes.
Yes.
What was the genesis of him deciding he needed another two-family next to the one that he has?
The genesis is primarily that his father and mother live in Revere. His father and he are in the same, they have a construction company, and his father and his mother are going to move into the two-family. So that's the reason for why he wanted to begin to build the two-family.
So why wouldn't he build a single for him, a small single?
Just from a standpoint of the economics, really. they'll build it themselves. But just the economy of it and to do it, that's the only way. That's why what they did is they made the two-family realistically as small as possible. Not much bigger. It's probably the same size as a single, Michael.
All that being said and understood, you're still taking now it's a 4-family because it'd be 2 twos on 5,200 square feet, where 1 2-family should be 7,200 square feet. That's a lot of relief, I would think. It seems a little kind of congested for that lot. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's not really, because it's typical of, as I had said to you, on the street. I mean, every house on that street, just about every house, is a 2-family built on 2,600 square feet. So had the original owner, when they had done it, built or had sold the other 2 lots, they probably would have built the same house. It's really pretty typical for the area and the neighborhood.
I agree it would fit in with what's there. What I'm saying is that when our great forefathers said it was going to be 7,200 for a 2-family, they weren't anticipating everybody saying, yeah, but everybody else in the street did it this way, so I'm going to do it this way. I kind of, there's a reason why these zoning laws are here, I think. I mean,
right.
I feel it's a lot of forgiveness, but that's just my opinion.
Well, the other thing is, even if he was going to do a single, he'd need a variance as well. You realize that.
I agree with that. And I think someday if he gets this 2-family, he's going to want to subdivide this lot. And now he's got 2 2-families to sell. It's a beautiful thing. But, I mean, if I really saw a hardship
Let me just interrupt you. He can't subdivide the lot. That's exactly the problem. The lot is merged. And once the lot merges, it can't be subdivided into 2 non-conforming lots.
Even with our approval, even with our forgiveness?
You absolutely can't do it. Yeah, you can't do it.
So then when he sells the property, he would sell a 4-family because
he would have to sell both houses. You can't, once that property is in common ownership, and as the zoning ordinances were changed over time to require more and more minimum square footage, once that became non-conforming, those 2 lots, or they should say the 4 lots in total, merged in 1 lot. You can't separate that now. You cannot do it. I mean, am I right on that, Robin? Do you want to weigh in on that?
I mean, if the board has a question for me.
He was, Mr. D'Antoni asked Mr. Attorney Delory.
No, I heard it. I just wanted to.
Yeah, if you want to weigh in on that law, just to back that up, that would be fine.
To the extent that it could not be subdivided as of right is what I think Attorney Delory is saying. They would certainly at a minimum need additional relief before it could be subdivided, because my understanding is it wouldn't have adequate lot area to just be able to come in and subdivide as of right.
Okay, thank you.
I think that's what Attorney Delory is saying.
Right, but so I'm saying you have, but the thing is that even if you went to subdivide it, you still wouldn't have adequate frontage. You couldn't even do an A&R plan because you wouldn't have adequate frontage. It'd be 40 feet on each lot.
Okay, so there may be other zoning deficiencies as well.
Yes.
Okay.
And Michael, that's the hardship. In other words, what's happened is over time where it's merged and these have become non-conforming, that's what creates the hardship, because now it really can't be used for the typical use in that area.
I don't see it as a hardship. I think it's more financial, but I understand what you're saying as being typical in that area. That doesn't mean it's right for that area, because it obviously just makes everything more dense. And I know what the vision is, and I understand all of that, but we got to stop it somewhere, But that's just my opinion, and the board will vote the way they want.
Mr. D'Antoni, if I can have a minute too, I want to just note something. I'm sorry. I wish we had a little more sunlight here, but we always want to, make the highest and best use of the property. And what I'm trying to show you, if I can see it, is still on me. The fact is, this lot being undeveloped is actually creating a hardship for the neighbors, for the abutters in the rear. And there's 2 houses in the rear here. And what we have is, this is the existing house, and there's a significant grade change between these 2 lots. And what the clients are going to be able to do by doing this is install a French drain system all along the back of the lot here that's going to allow the houses over here to not get water. So by this land being vacant, it's actually the worst result for all the neighbors around it. the expense that's associated with building the house and putting in the French drain is what necessitates the need for them to have the two family. And by having the two family, all of the neighbors are benefited from it.
And I think that the proof of that is the neighbor most impacted is really wants this development because they're gonna be able to put a very decorative fence, do landscaping. And, and I think they've come to it with compliant parking. So, I mean, they're gonna have 4 parking spaces.
I wonder if I can go over and see it.
And Mr. Delory, that was the woman that spoke with your son earlier?
Yes, that was Janet Colometta. She's directly behind.
She's the one that abuts it. Okay.
That's correct. Yeah.
I'm glad you got her on board because to be honest with you, I was against the project and
Yeah, well,
came on.
you're
and
right.
Now that she's in favor of it, I'm looking.
You're
looking at
right.
it in a different light.
That's what
I think part of the problem was just in a lot of times when you can't have a community meeting, there's a little bit sometimes of misinformation. I believe originally Janet thought that there were going to be 2 houses proposed on the lot. So that we've been able to do that. We've been able to address all of her concerns, and that's why she's enthusiastically on board with this.
Mr. Delory, I have one other question on another topic. Looking at the specs, I noticed that I couldn't figure out on one of the apartments, but one of the apartments is a 3-bedroom,
No.
or is it just
No.
bedrooms in total? I was a little confused by the way it was laid out. Could you clarify the bedrooms in the house for me?
2 bed, 1 bath. They're both 2 bedroom, 1 bath, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank 2 bedroom, 1 bath.
Yes. And one, I think the first floor unit is 890 square feet, and the second floor unit is 980 square feet.
Okay, I was a little confused by the way on one of the pages that I read. That's why I wanted to clarify it.
Well, that's why I had said that the overall size, even though it is technically a 2-family, the overall size is really not much more than a single-family house in terms of square footage.
It's actually, since we've been on the site, we were actually looking at Ms. Colometta's property in the rear, who's spoken in favor, and her single family is approximately 1,700 square feet. So this 2-family proposed is actually the same size as the single family that it abuts.
And so I have another question. I'm going to get back to the bedrooms in the parking. I would like to, if we were to approve this, attach the residential sticker parking policy that we have in the lease for anyone that's renting the apartment.
I don't think that's not an issue.
Not an issue at all, Madam Chair.
Okay, and then the other thing is, so I'm gonna go back to the French drains for a minute.
Yes.
So it's documented that the people behind the house where the grade is uneven currently get water in their basements and so forth?
Yes.
Okay, so you're willing to, as a condition, if we were to approve this and put the French drain in as a condition, you would guarantee that that would be there to stop that in a way that it would stop water going to the neighbors?
Well,
I feel like
we'll do the best. We'll do the best to guarantee is difficult, but the French drain is a necessary installation. So my client does certainly agree to install the necessary drainage along the back lot line.
because I feel that may be what persuaded the neighbors, helped the neighbors come on board with you with this, because getting their water issue by this, that's a big deal.
That is a big deal, and it will abate the water issue, but they've also met with, like, for example, Ms. Colometta, and that there's an old, sort of very unattractive fence back there. They're gonna put a brand new wood fence. They're gonna bring in landscaping and put landscaping actually on her side of the fence to help out with this. But the water issue there's a very distinct, you can't see it in the dark, drop as you go to this lot, and that construction would help that and will help the neighbors as well.
Okay.
I don't think it'll bother us, right? Let's see if some.
So to answer your question, Madam Chairman, there's no issue with the parking stickers, the parking limitation stickers, and there's no no issue with putting that in with the installation of a French drain.
Okay. Any other question by board members? Does anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion for favorable action.
To include the 2 conditions, can you,
Include the 2 conditions, that you,
the residential parking stickers?
residential parking and French drain to be installed to take care of the water problem.
Yeah, and the residential parking stickers will be written into the lease of the
Leases,
tenants.
correct.
Okay. All right, can we have a second?
Second that, John Fraser.
All right, so we have motion for favorable action, and we have a second on it. Can the clerk call the roll, please?
John Fraser,
Yes.
Roger Sissel,
Yes.
Michael D'Antone,
No,
Mary Gerasi.
Yes.
Michael, do you want to, I know you mentioned
my
a lack of
reasoning
hard.
is that, yeah, the two buildings on one lot will be my reasoning.
Okay, and the lack of hardship is what you mentioned?
Well, lack of hardship, I feel, yes. But the
Okay.
two lot, I'll stand behind the two buildings on one lot.
Your petition has been denied, and you have the
Oh,
right.
was it denied? Who else said no?
There's only 4 voting members, Mr.
Only
Danzo.
4 voting
That's
members.
right, I'm
Michael.
sorry, I
Gotta be
apologize.
unanimous.
That's correct, I apologize.
Lydia. Grab.
Continue, Mayor.
Your petition has been denied. You have the right to form an appeal according to whatever the dates and how it works under this COVID-19. Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank
Madam
you,
Chair.
Madam Chair. Thank you, members of the board.
have a good night.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to take the last piece of old business off the table, and I lost the petition number.
It's petition number, I have it right here. Petition number 2470.
Petition number 2470302 Broadway.
There's been a motion to take petition 2470302 Broadway off the table from old business. Can it be seconded, please?
Roger Dissel will second it.
Motion has been seconded, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Hold on 1 minute. We need to get Paul Colometta back.
Yeah.
I don't know if this one. You want to go forward with the, or you want me to continue?
Even though everybody in the area did.
Okay,
He should be back in a minute. I just texted him.
thank you. Are you, what number Bravo are you? You 302? Okay, this is you then, okay.
Paul back on yet? Hi, Paul. You can log back in now. It's not launching. It's just not launching. She's just waiting for it to come up.
And you can't see on there either.
Huh.
So I don't know why.
Yeah, audio visual problems, huh? Anthony. I think he stepped out of the last one, but I think he's coming back in.
Mary, I see Paul.
Yep, Paul's all set. So at this time, the petition number 2470 has been brought off the table from old business. I will read the denial in just the summary, because we've already read the entire petition earlier at a previous date. Petition number 2470, Mr. Ken Kenworthy, variance regarding 302 Broadway, Everett, Mass. Applicant currently has a building permit B-19-668 to construct a 10-unit residential structure containing 15 parking spaces at the above-mentioned property. The Board of Appeals issued a parking variance on June 5th, 2017, allowing for the shortage of 5 parking spaces. Applicant now seeks to increase the residential unit count to 15 without change to the existing structure dimensions while providing 15 parking spaces. Okay, and the petitioners and the attorneys present.
Yes, Madam Chairwoman, Anthony Rossi, present on behalf of the petitioner, and Eric Kenworthy is should be on. Right, Eric, you on?
Yep, I'm on. Yep. Eric Kenworthy here.
Okay, would you like to just give a quick summary before we call back the public forum, Pat?
Yes, if I could. Previously, I represented Mr. Kenworthy when he got the approval for a 10-unit, two-bedroom structure. He went through site plan approval, planning board approval, and he's actually already commenced construction on the site. And then he had to stop due to, the construction shutdown in Everett. What he's done is he's changed some of the two-bedroom units and made them into basically one-bedroom units. So now he's adding 5 more units and removing 4 of the two-bedroom units and making those into 8 one-bedroom units, essentially. He's not changing the footprint. He's not making the building bigger. It's still, we'll still have 1 parking space per unit with a bus stop right at that location or pretty close to it. And the biggest reason is he thought about it during COVID that it makes sense to have more one-bedrooms rather than 2 bedrooms because a lot of people are going to be wanting to live by themselves. So he's not changing the FAR, the square footage, or the exterior. He's just working within the same footprint. I would note that I looked at the calculations, and previously it was 1 affordable housing unit that he had to do through special permit. This would kick in a second affordable unit. So out of these units now, you will have 2 affordable units rather than 1. If by granting this variance to cut the units up to 1 bedrooms. I think it's a better development because it'll be less 2 bedrooms, far less than what was previously approved. That hits the market for school departments and so forth. It's 1-bedroom units, which are more desirable, less chances of families as far as hitting the school department, less vehicles, less opportunity of vehicles to come in. So essentially we have 15 parking spaces for 15 units. And I did speak to Mr. Kenworthy, talk about if the board was inclined to approve and had an issue about residential stickers. He made the reference that he would have no objection that there'll be no residential stickers issued on this property, as he doesn't believe it's going to be a transit-oriented property. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'd like to open it up to the public forum. Is there anybody online or waiting to speak in favor or not in favor of this petition?
Madam Chairwoman, Councilor Michael McLaughlin, 9 Baldwin Place. Good evening. Thank you for your time this evening. I supported this project originally when it came before your honorable body at City Hall. And again, this evening I come before you in favor of this project, but I come.
Mike, we've lost you again. You lost your service. We can't hear you.
He doesn't look up, you can't see him.
Mike. He's frozen.
Did my camera, did my Zoom?
Mike, you're frozen again, and we couldn't hear you.
Madam Chairwoman, can you hear me?
Now we can, but we didn't hear anything you said.
This is why we need to pass small cell towers in the city of Everett so we have better internet service. I was just saying that one of the biggest issues that we're going to have to face going forward is the housing in our city. And the fact that we have the opportunity to bring on 1 more affordable housing unit in the city of Everett may sound like just 1 more unit, but it actually is a big significance anytime we can bring on an additional affordable housing unit in the city of Everett. And I supported this project previously. I support it again tonight. I know I've spoken to many of the abutters in the neighborhood, and I've talked to some other community leaders, and they've talked about traffic. The last thing I want to touch on is that, again, like SD Street tonight, this project sits on the doorstep of where all that traffic from SD Street is going, and that's down to the Rotary to use that roadway to get into Boston every day. So to try to do a traffic study or to try to do other things is concerning because you'll never get a true fraction of Everett's traffic, never mind the North Shore's traffic. And that's a factor that I just wanted to point out to you tonight. But to have more 1-bedroom units instead of 2-bedroom units is only a benefit for our community. And the additional affordable housing unit is a great addition to our community. So I could not support this more than I do this evening. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. McLaughlin. Anyone else from the public forum ready to speak on this petition number 2470?
Yes, I do. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Could you please state your first, last name and address for the clerk to record, please?
Sure. My name is Hormat Abdul Rauf, and I am of 131 Cottage Street. And I wanted to express my full support for Mr. Kenworthy's additional 5 more units. I believe the current units are big, and it doesn't make sense for the current market. I believe the 5 additional units will be great, and it will be geared towards young professionals or those who are interested in working nearby or in downtown Everett. It will be beneficial for the city of Everett, and there's a high demand for this. And I hope you guys approve this project, and we'll look forward to seeing our side with this project.
Okay, thank you very much for your input. Anyone else out there in the public calling in to speak on behalf or in favor or not in favor of petition number 2470? Last call. The public forum. Okay, Attorney Rossi, any last words? Does your petition?
Yes, I just wanted to add, I did speak to Tony Souza, head of planning development, regarding his petition and his, and he didn't have an objection to it. He did tell me that I would have to go back in front of the planning board for a special, to modify the special permit if it was approved for inclusionary to add an additional unit. And I talked about the site plan. It'd be either a waiver or a modification because we're not changing the site plan. And I asked him if he thought a traffic analysis was needed, and he didn't think one was needed, especially where the location of the site was. And the planning board didn't require one initially, but I was willing to do something like that if they needed to. But I have to go back in front of them anyways, if needed, for that. So it wouldn't be a moot issue today. If it was approved, I'd have to still go back to planning board for a special permit. And at the very least, maybe a minor modification for site plan approval to reflect if this was approved, the new unit mix.
Okay, I'd like to open it up to questions from the board. And Mr. Rossi, I just want to double check one quick thing. It's been a long night and a crazy night. So I just want to make sure I have my numbers correct. You're having 15, you're going from 10 to 15 apartments.
Yes.
But 4 of the 15 are going to be 1-bedrooms?
No, so let me make sure I did this right, because I actually wrote it down on my phone, so I say it right. So originally it was 10 2-bedroom units.
Yep.
Okay. The proposed 15 plan now has 6 2-bedroom units and 9 1-bedroom units. So now it's predominantly all 1-bedroom units. And for the affordable housing component, usually they do a mixture of what's in the building. So I would expect 1 2-bedroom unit to be affordable and 1 1-bedroom unit to be affordable. So now they would have 2 affordable housing units out of the 15. So originally it was only 1 out of 10. Now it's 2 out of 15. And now this is predominantly more of a 1-bedroom project rather than a large 2-bedroom project.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from the board?
Mr. Rossi, you actually spoke to something I was concerned with, and that's the possibility of a detailed traffic study. I'm really concerned with that entrances, that it's right at the end of the bus lane coming from one side. And if cars are able to take a left coming off the Rotary, coming down Broadway, I see that as a real problem. So I would like a traffic study, but not to see how many cars, but just for the details of how that's going to all interweave.
Mike, you know what I could do? I'm not sure if you're familiar with VHP, Finesse, Jeffrey Dirk. They're probably one of the biggest traffic study people in the state. What I can do is, if you allow me to table it to the next meeting, I don't know if it's enough time, I can try to engage them and ask him regarding, safety-wise, exiting and ingressing from that area. And also, if you want me to do a trip count, I can.
I'm not as concerned with the trip count. I'm more concerned with just in and out of that spot where it is.
Okay. I mean, I can ask, I'm sure they do them. I'll be honest with you, Mike, I've only dealt with it for the purposes of, trip counts, traffic. You're more concerned, it sounds like, on a public safety measure, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's the end of the bus lane right there. at
Well,
that spot.
Anthony,
Mr. Rossi, that Attorney Rossi, that was going to be my next question, actually. I'm not concerned about the trip count because right now it's COVID and nothing's on baseline with that. But I'm looking to the safety of pedestrians, because a lot of pedestrians and kids walk up there, they cross the rotary to and from school. The Whittier School's right near there. I'm also concerned the bus stop is there, and for any blind spots of people taking that hard left in off the rotary, because they're going to do it quick because there's a lot of traffic under normal circumstances that comes up behind them. My concern is if we do a traffic study for safety, would it be only exiting and incoming, like they'd have to go up and turn around on Broadway to take a right into there and kind of avoid that crossover? And the same thing with leaving, coming out and
Right
crossing
only,
to
yeah.
take a left would be detrimental, I think, for safety issues. And that's more, I think, what Mr. D'Antone is getting at.
I understood that. I'm one of those like OCD people that I have to quadruple check, so I don't have to do it with the wrong pen later on. So I'm not sure if they do that. There might be well, I'm sure they do because VHP does everything when it comes to
I
that.
also have a traffic firm that does work for the city already that we could, I could reach out to them and get some advice.
Yeah, and I know Vanessa and VHP are pretty much the two largest in the state, and I know the city's using. I think they use them as what do you call it when they do Robin, help me when they do this when they on peer reviews for the city. So I can reach out to them, and then maybe also. I don't remember how Eric had it previously, but maybe they can be like one of those mirror systems with stop light, red light. It'll be a sensor if there's a bus coming out and so forth. They would have all the technology and aware of that. I'm not that inclined to know, so I wouldn't want to comment. But I'm just talking off the top of my head. I'm sure there's ways that people have dealt with this in the past. So, Mike, Mary, if you allow me to table this. And I'll do any waiver for the construction eviction and send it over to you guys tomorrow, just to give us time to try to see how long it would take me to engage them and how long it would take for them to do that type of analysis and look at his plans.
So
that would actually probably help you when you get to the planning board. They may ask you to do the same type of thing. So maybe we're just one step ahead here.
No, I don't.
Attorney Rossi, if you were to table, our next meeting is June 1st, which is only 2 weeks, but I believe then the next meeting is June 15th. Would that be better?
Eric, if you don't have an objection, I think with COVID, June 1st is pretty quick. Can you wait to June 15th?
Yeah.
So,
geez, whatever you think. I think planning board did actually want a right turn exit out of the site. And go up to the rotary and not have a left turn exit, as I recall, but I could be wrong, which makes sense. Whatever you think, Anthony.
Both of those would be necessary.
So what I would do is this, Mike, what I would do is let me get the prior planning board decision because it might also address some of these issues that maybe they already addressed. And then at the same time, I'll engage this firm. That way we can do both at the same time. I really don't want to rush it for 2 weeks. I'd rather give it time. And then it gives me time to actually maybe submit that to Tony and the planning board so they can maybe comment.
Okay.
Prior to coming.
That is my only concern.
That was my big concern. The safety of the entering and exiting that egress is just, it's just a tough spot. I don't think the project is bad at all, to be honest with you. And the idea of more singles, that kind of balances out in the wash to me. But I am very concerned about just the pulling in and out and the parking and the safety of pedestrians. It's a highly traveled area with small children. So
I agree. I definitely don't have a problem with it, Mary. I think it also gives me more time to actually shoot it by the planning board and Tony so they can maybe input. So I go to them too at the same time prior to coming to you guys again. So we have all the bases covered, before we come to you.
And I have one other quick question. If we were to table this, did you already sign the time waiver form due to the COVID, all that stuff?
I recently got retained, and I'm not sure if you heard me earlier. I told Robin I will sign any waiver of the constructive approvals, and I'll send it in tomorrow in a format that she approves, and we'll waive.
We can send you let me just double check and make sure I have your correct
We
email,
have
but I
those.
believe,
We Send you ours.
yep, I can send
Yeah.
you, I just want to make sure we send the right one, just the one that's the agreement to waive the deadlines.
Exactly.
So I can send that over,
And-
and then when you send it back, Mary can sign it and we can get it filed with the clerk.
Yep, I'll get it over to you either tonight or tomorrow morning.
So,
Yeah, Madam Chair,
Oh, go ahead.
oh, sure.
Exactly.
I'm just speaking on behalf of the planning board. We do have a meeting on the 27th. So we can happily hear that petition at our next planning board meeting next Wednesday.
May 27th, right? Not June 27th?
May 27th is our next meeting, correct?
Yep.
That's a Wednesday, Shane?
That is a Wednesday. We didn't want to
Okay.
conflict with council.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shane, for
problem.
that.
So, Madam Chairman, I'll
problem.
make a motion that we table this piece. So Mr. Rossi can do his homework till June 15th at 7 PM.
Thank you.
Anyone want a second?
Will second that motion?
There's been a motion made to table petition number 2470 until our meeting on Monday, June 15th at 7 PM, and it has been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
And Mary, just to confirm, if things keep up, it'll be over Zoom, but folks should check the website to
Yeah.
find out
It should be
information.
over Zoom and because even as
Or some
as
platform.
to reopen, because there's gonna be number issues in one room. I'm not sure. I think this might be for a little bit anyhow.
Yep.
So I'm not really sure though, but so we'll keep you posted and check our website as well, okay? And that goes to anyone who's in the public listening.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you. Thanks.
All right,
Thanks,
Robert,
guys.
thank you. Have a good night.
Madam
And-
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the meetings for the minutes from the last meeting.
Anyone want to second the motion?
Roger, this will second it.
There's been a motion to accept the meetings from the last, to accept the minutes from the last meeting, and it has been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can the board stay on for a minute after we adjourn?
Sure.
Make a motion to adjourn, Madam Chairman.
Anyone want a second?
Roger, this will second that motion.
There's been a motion to adjourn, and it has been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, guys, everyone else, thank you very much. To the board, I just want to say thanks. It was kind of a tough night and it was tricky and it was kind of crazy, to tell you the truth.
We got through it.
We hung in
We
there.
made
We
it
hung
through.
in
Um,
Us Everett people are tough.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
And I just wanted to thank you all, really. I know this is hard and for complying and the professionalism, and I know I'm a pain in the neck, so I just want to say thank you, really.
Thank you.
Be
know,
safe. Be safe.
That's
I
what
think I think the meeting went well, Mary.
And I have one other quick question, Roberta.
Berta, get that pizza roll out of your mouth.
Can we have some?
I'm starving now.
Me
I'm
too.
starving.
Roberta, I do have a quick question for you. I have to go around with the signature sheets you gave me.
Yep.
Is there a way we can get the other ones printed out from tonight, the three other ones, so I can take them all at once this week?
Yeah, I'm going to work Wednesday.
Wednesday?
Mm-hmm.
What time you going in the morning?
I actually have them at my house. I don't even need to go to work.
Oh, okay. So
I have them
why
in the
don't I
book.
come by your house and pick them up? And guys, I'm gonna have to do a text. I'll come by with separate pens or whatever, and I need you to sign the signature papers from a couple of weeks ago and this week.
Harry,
And then I'll give you the there's because one is being tabled, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, Anthony Rossi's, the last one is being tabled. And
And
so,
two were denied and one was approved. Okay.
yeah,
No, we actually had, didn't we have 4 pieces? How many pieces we had tonight? 5.
we
right?
had 4. One got tabled, we denied 2 and passed 1.
So we have to sign 3.
Yes, and we have to sign 2 from before, so there's
I
5
got
also.
you. Gotcha.
Roger, did you have a question?
are you gonna drive them around or?
Yeah, I'll just drive around to your houses. I'll just need you to text me your addresses because I don't think I know them all. And I'll just drive by and I'll text you, you come out, sign them. They'll be on a clipboard. You don't have to touch anything. I'll give you your own pen.
Because I have a platform at work called Dot Loop where I can upload them and email them to everybody for electronic signatures. I don't
I
know.
know. I was supposed to learn that, but Rob never taught me it.
I don't think we can do electronic signatures for those. There are some things.
those?
we can,
Yeah,
like,
okay.
But I don't think.
Jim
those-
said we could.
Oh, really?
Well, they're
Yeah.
they're legal in real estate transactions, so I wouldn't. Anyway,
Oh,
You could.
so if I gave you those papers, could you do that?
I could upload it to Dot Loop, and then I just need everybody's email address.
You
And then I
email
can-
them and then they sign them.
They electronically sign them. It gives the date stamp and the time that it was printed, so it's a lot more.
And then you'd
legal
have to
than
email
regular
them back to
signature.
me, Roger,
Yeah.
so I can put them back in the folders.
Is
That
everybody,
makes more sense. Since we're doing all this with Zoom, let's stay
Yeah.
with that form.
I agree with it. How are you guys with that, John and Paul?
Very good, yeah.
Yeah,
You know what I
it's
can do?
very easy.
Mary, you
It's
don't have to do anything.
Yeah, it's great. That would be.
It'll
great.
say Mary Gerasi, sign here, right on the paper. So it's very self-explanatory. It's not.
Mary, you don't have to do anything. I can email them all to Roger.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
I'll
Okay, that
upload
would
it to
be-
Dot Loop and then email it everybody for
So,
signature.
the 3 tonight, and what was the other ones? Well, from what meeting?
I have them right here. Hold on a minute.
Oh, that would be awesome. If you just give me the address so I can email them all to you.
They're in
Yeah.
my pile here. Give me one second.
Email to
Saves you
Roger.
having to run around and then being
So
exposed.
they're, let me
Mike
see.
D'Antone.
And then once it's
Yeah.
signed,
So Petition,
back to me.
Roberta, petition number 2468.
2468,
Yeah, it's 8385 Linden Street.
8385, Linden, yep.
There's actually 3 of them. And then there is petition number 2465,
Yep,
which is 357 Third Street.
3rd Street, yep.
And then petition number 2466.
Yep.
And 810 Broadway.
810 Broadway, okay.
You know what?
Then
On
I'm
this-
I'm
can
gonna
you-
email you all of those, Roger, so there's 6 altogether.
Okay, that's fine.
I
Yeah.
can just email them
Roberta,
back
can you
to me
send
and
this-
what?
When you send these to Roger, all of them, could you just check off whether they were denied or
Oh,
granted?
yeah, I do that anyways.
I forget. These ones don't have that, and I forget which one we did.
Yeah, I can just, yeah, I check them off denied or granted.
Yeah,
And
but
then
on the ones that you
work
sent to us.
Wednesday, I'll scan them all to you,
Yeah.
Roger.
Yep,
And then
perfect.
just make sure you scan them back to me or email them back to me with the signatures and I'll put them in the folders.
Okay, sounds good.
Well, that would be great, you guys.
That's
That's
easy.
appreciative. and
Yeah,
helpful.
that's easy.
No problem. Yeah, it's a lot easier.
And I have to wait till Wednesday because I got the rest of the folders in.
Yeah, no problem.
Perfect. So you don't need these back from me, Roberta, do you?
No, I'll have, no. I'm gonna scan them all to Roger on Wednesday morning.
Perfect.
Perfect.
When I
Hey,
get
guys,
in.
I think you all did a good job tonight. I think it was a little bit of a stressful night, actually.
It was really stressful. I
It
started,
it became more stressful. I didn't think it was going to be. But
Paul, you okay over there? You're awfully quiet tonight.
he's also, no
Even quiet when he
That's why
talks.
he's so
wonder
quiet.
why he's quiet. He's muted. Hey, Jimmy, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, Jim, how are you?
We all go for a drink
Stop
after the,
muted.
I'm going for a big fat drink when this is over.
when this is over, we're all going for a drink.
Jim, we can't hear you. You're muted too.
Anything, Jim.
You're muted, James.
There you go.
Have a good night, everybody.
All right.
Everybody stay safe, okay?
Good night.
Ciao. Ciao.
Talk to everybody soon.
All right, good night, everybody. Thank you for your help.
Good
Bye.
Good night, folks.
Good
Bye,
night.
hon. Bye,
Bye,
Mary.
guys.